Hey everyone, Arthur here. Happy 2025 to all of you. Hope you spend a lot of time with the family. I certainly did, as this time of year is also summer here in Brazil. There was a good amount of beach and pool going here, and no better way to start the year than looking at some great games that deserve a lot more attention. If you like this, do check out the previous videos on the series, especially the latest one where I covered 100 plus fantastic lesser known games, all in one video made in commemoration of the 10k subscribers reached. Alright, let's do this. Welcome to the channel. This is from the Void. Let's start with two very cool on-rail shooters slash rhythm games that deserve more attention, especially the sequel. This is Aaeros and Aaeros 2. These are very nice, the soundtracks are awesome, especially if you are into electronic music, and the gameplay is fantastic. Basically, you can position yourself in any point in the circle that is a one-to-one representation of the left thumbstick position. With that, you have to follow the blue lines that go along the song's rhythm. Then on top of that, and to make things much more interesting, you'll also have to defend yourself against hazards and especially enemy creatures shooting at you. So you can shoot back at them and you have to aim with the right analog stick. So you're using both of them for different purposes, and this twists your brain a lot and will be an awesome challenge to overcome, especially in later levels for both games. So yeah, these are excellent. I love both Aaeros. Moving on to one of my favorites on today's list. This is Fountains. This is 100% a Souls-like, but isometric. I know the Souls-like genre feels like it's oversaturated at this point, but seriously, this is a freaking excellent game. Enemy designs, level designs, and especially the gameplay itself are all awesome. You get to use a whole bunch of weapons, armor, helmets, pants, rings, and even gadgets, which are basically Zelda-style items like a hookshot or a light beam that can be used both for the environmental puzzles and for the combat. Everything is well thought out, the many secrets, enemy placement and behaviors, and the fountains, namesake of the game, where you save and heal. And by the way, I like the opposition to bonfires there. This is an excellent Souls-like here, very impressive game for sure. Fountains. This next one is somewhat of a novel idea and a very cool game, completely unknown I believe, called Ghostboy. Okay, this is something else. Ghostboy has this cartoony, stylish look, but it's anything but childish. The main character is the older brother of a family of 4 who goes outside to fly a kite and is hit by a car and dies. Brutal. This happens in the beginning, so it's not a spoiler at all, and I need to say it to explain the game actually. Because after that, the whole family is traumatized and facing some serious threat of depression, including the young brother who was the one who asked the main character to fetch the kite outside and now feels responsible responsible for his death. Now, you, as the dead boy, are now a ghost boy who cannot go to the afterlife because he feels like he must help the family cope with his loss. And the gameplay is a tower defense / action game where you're actually defending one of your family members in each stage against negative and dark thoughts represented by the demons. This is a really neat idea that helps you getting invested in each stage. And it's not the only bold idea they implemented really well here. Before each level, you choose what actions you will take into battle. Some are towers that you can place, others are special skills that are usually super powerful and help you out a lot in battle. But catch this, those represent a escape mechanism for that character, like spending a lot of money with shopping for needless things, or drinking alcohol, or escaping into fantasy for the little brother. So they effectively included trauma and coping mechanisms into the gameplay, which is the coolest thing ever. Clearing stages without these special skills is very difficult, especially later on, but there is a small tolerance for getting that family member hurt by the use of the harmful coping mechanism, but you cannot abuse it. And on top of that, you can also bring a support ability that actually has no use in battle, so it only takes a spot in your ability slot, but it represents that family member helping another family member, doing some house chores or doing something nice with them. And what a brilliant bunch of ideas, I gotta say. Inspired this game is. Furthermore, in between stages, you can see each family member in their thoughts and help them make tough decisions on how to proceed. The tower defense gameplay is awesome too, very hard in many cases, and presenting some interesting level designs too, with different ideas thrown in. And you also control a special unit that you can order to shoot and that you have to move manually to create the towers and such. So yeah, fantastic game here, Ghostboy, check it out, highly recommended. Next is one of the most excellent Metroidvanias that are not famous enough, and this is actually underrated too. We're talking about a robot named Fire. Okay, this was hurt by reviews, mostly in the 7 range, and there is one reason for that, the difficulty. Very hard game here because it's a permadeath Metroidvania. Yeah, die once and start all over no matter where. Brutal. So absolutely not going to appeal to everyone, I get that, but a gameplay design choice like that will have fans and detractors, meaning it will be awful for some and awesome for others. And that's the kind of thing that I don't see as a negative, but a potential positive. And that's why I review games in a score range, not with a singular score. But anyway, if you're into challenging permadeath games, this is insanely good. The Metroidvania has some randomized aspects here that will place this in a roguelike category probably, but you can also keep tackling the same map with same exact item locations and all that by simply entering the same seed in the randomizer. So it's up to you how much rogue elements it will have, and I gotta say I was skeptical about how good the map creator would be for a Metroidvania where the map is one of the most important things, but this impressed me. All 3 maps I played felt organic, so it randomizes things but has all the same beats and challenges, only in different locations in the map. I was sure this would be a negative, but it wasn't at all. The gameplay side here is excellent, counting with everything you would expect from a Metroidvania and doing everything excellently. A robot named Fight is real cool, and it counts with a physical version from Premium Edition, which is getting expensive nowadays. Next is a very interesting and unique RPG, Ved. Okay, I've seen this one be misunderstood by critics and players alike, because Ved is not any kind of normal role-playing video game here. It's instead one of the closest video games to an actual tabletop RPG experience. And not only with the rolling of the dice in battles. I mean, it has that of course, but even outside of combat, you'll have some interesting amounts of freedom at every turn, from choosing where to go to what to do and say. So one common criticism we got is people complaining about how much visual novel there is, and I wouldn't call it that. it's part of the tabletop experience instead in this case. But yeah, keep that in mind because there are a lot of dialogues. But then combat is very unique. Along with the typical turn-based and tabletop mechanisms, you also have a movement system that is super simple to understand and very interesting to use. Basically, your attacks will have a movement attached to them, so when attacking you may move left or right, and that can make you unreachable to one of the enemy appendages, for instance. So this really enhances the strategy element, and there's a lot more too. The battles keep getting deeper and deeper. I enjoy this a lot. VED, check it out if you like tabletop RPGs in the slightest. Next is 8-bit style action platformer adventure Knights of the Road. This is simple, yet it introduces a fun gimmick in the shape of the multi-purpose shield you carry around. This is really cool. You can throw it like a boomerang, ride on top of it, jump on top of it to surpass spikes, float on water with it, ricochet projectiles into other directions to break blocks, and much more. It's awesome. The progression is also great, kind of a mix between Mega Man and a Metroidvania full of secrets, really cool bosses, and challenging platforming sections too. Fantastic game here, simple but a treat nonetheless. Knights of the Road, try it out. Now for the retro part of the list, only one game this time, and that's Rage of the Dragons Neo. This was just announced to be coming in physical form, and it's a pretty cool game. The Neo part here means that this was ported to current systems, as this was originally a arcade/Neo Geo title from SNK, and as I understood, another company bought the rights of the franchise from SNK and re-released it to modern consoles as Neo. Another fun note is that this was intended as a Double Dragon fighting game sequel, but they had already sold the rights to the characters, so it's only that in spirit. Still pretty cool. This is an excellent fighting game as per the pedigree of SNK circa 2002 and beyond. The pixel art is exquisite, characters are very cool. This is also a tag team fighting game with lots of intricate mechanisms to keep and break a combo. This re-release does improve a few minor things that make a good difference, especially for dedicated players. The main thing is how you can tweak a lot of the game's parameters that will affect difficulty, and this is very important because the game is harder than usual, and training mode was also improved some. So bottom line, Rage of the Dragons Neo is a brilliant old school style fighter that should satisfy even veteran fans of the genre. Next on the list is the great Gryphon Knight Epic. This is one of my favorite kind of side-scroller shooters, where you have freedom to move and shoot left or right, stages have optional paths, and in between levels you can buy items and upgrade your skills and stuff. Plus it also has that iconic Mega Man stage structure, where you can choose in what order you'll tackle each level, and defeating a boss will grant you a new weapon. And given that the gameplay itself is solid and each stage is rather challenging, we have an excellent and much longer than usual shmup here. Gryphon Knight is a must-play for fans of the genre, and it also counts with a physical option from strictly limited games. Next is a very amusing idea for a game, Cramped Room of Death. In this one, you're in a dungeon, often made of tight hallways and tunnels, but you wield a long spear, worst weapon for that, so moving and turning around can be very troublesome. And that's the gameplay idea, because with the spear you can also kill skeletons and demons from a distance before they can attack you, so finding the way to move around and kill enemies becomes a whole puzzle gameplay here. The best aspect in the game are the varied enemies, each with different weapons. Archers will take aim if you're in the same row as them in the first move, and shoot in the next move. X-Men will swing at you even diagonally from them, and there are even other enemies with spears, which you have to defeat from behind. So yeah, a puzzle game full of combat this is, and a very nice brain teaser throughout. we have the bonus section where I place a few games that wouldn't fit the main list for any given reason. I'm placing this in the middle now and leaving several of the best games for the final part of the list. First off is certainly the most well-known on the list. Many may consider it not a hidden gem, so that's why it's here. But if there is one person out there I can reach who doesn't know about this, it's already worth it because this is totally excellent. We're of course talking about Cocoon. What a remarkable game. Cocoon is a puzzle adventure, a rare mix actually, where you basically have to bring the spheres from point A to point B by means of many different mechanisms, including entering the spheres, which are actually entire worlds onto themselves, and you can bring a sphere inside another, and this is all kinds of mind-bending. It's impressive. Fantastic puzzle adventure here, a game hard to stop playing, believe me. Check it out if you haven't yet, Cocoon. Next is Deathtrip. This is all kinds of weird and overwhelming, and that's why it's here. It's so weird and overwhelming, it's gotta be a niche game. It's also arcadey, just this one stage with infinite enemies, and you're trying to survive longer and kill more and more creatures. The gameplay is insane. The black creatures like Gengar here are not your targets. Killing them grants you nothing. What you must kill are the white skulls that are always trying to fly into you. They spawn from coffins, which you can destroy to gain some power-ups and new weapons. You can also destroy floors, so you gotta watch out. Basically just a arcadey, frenetic first-person shooter here. Inexpensive too, but super short and simple. This next one is very impressive, and I realize not in a genre that sparks a lot of flair from the audience, but seriously, this is amazing. Critter Cove. Okay, the game is currently in early access, but counts with a vast amount of content already. This is pretty much done. It's just a matter of making more of it, and it's insane what they pulled off here. As you can see, this is a life sim game, such as Animal Crossing, with a huge amount of stuff, including awesome exploration. The game really impresses when you unlock the boat and find that it goes well beyond the boundaries of the island, and given that you have a lot of platforming movement that allows for you to climb stuff, as well as the ability to dive underwater to search for stuff, the world of Critter Cove is shockingly vast. You can also build a lot of stuff of all shapes and sizes, using all kinds of materials like wood, rock and metal. There are all sorts of hidden treasure too, where you unlock new clothing and furniture. Your main purpose is to help out the creatures in the island to get this whole place back to being populated, very similar to most Harvest Moon games. So yeah, great life sim here, could potentially pose some serious competition to Animal Crossing actually. This next one is more for kids, so that's why it's in the bonus section, and this is called Smells Like a Mushroom. Okay, this is a third-person shooter platformer. The gameplay is solid, aside from a few bugs I experienced, but both of the shooting and the platforming are well done. Not deep enough to appeal for veteran gamers, I'm afraid, but kids around 10 years old should enjoy this a lot, and I feel like there are fewer and fewer options for kids of that age nowadays. I don't know. I like the different weapons with widely varied shooting patterns, and the platforming has some good challenge here and there too, but the vegetable characters are very unlikable, and seriously, why vegetables? I'd rather the mushrooms actually. Anyway, the boss fights are really cool too, but like I said, more for kids this one. Next is a simple arcade game, but this is seriously fun, even with a severe problem I'll explain in a second. This is Rescue the Beagles. Yeah, Rescue the Beagles. Stop judging it yet. Okay, like I said, this is an arcade game, endless and all about scoring points. I really like the idea here that you can occupy any of the 3 different parallax moving 2D planes. It's really fun. The objective is to reach all the Beagles in the stage to go to the next one. You can't allow a single Beagle to pass you by and leave the screen on the left, because that means a loss of life. Touching enemies will also kill you, and dropping from high places also means death. And this last one will be a major problem for a lot of people, I'm afraid, because the controls are very picky, which was a common thing for games of this kind way back when. So I guess that's what they were going for here, but basically to jump up, you gotta be standing still. Jumping while pressing down, left or right will cause you to drop down instead, and medium heights kill you already, and it will be infuriating until you get it, maybe even afterwards, because accidental drops still happen. It's a weird gameplay design that some will hate, but the rest of everything here is really fun and dynamic, making this a great, albeit potentially frustrating, arcade game. Now we enter the final 5 games with some of the biggest highlights. Of all the games that I find underrated, this next one is certainly among the most underrated of all. Castle in the Darkness. This is a freaking great game that is worth a lot more acknowledgement. There are two super cool things about it. What hits you first is how very fast-paced it is. Your character is nimble and can slash his sword like a crazy person. The speed is absolutely tailor-made to counterbalance the very high difficulty here. You will die a lot because this is a treacherous game full of traps and pitfalls. And the second very cool thing here is the superb sense of adventure. This may be technically a Metroidvania, but doesn't feel much like it because it even doesn't give you a map, and it still works impressively well. The vastly different looking and memorable locations will keep you from getting lost, and most of all, the level design is superb, always placing awesome action and platforming sections that will truly test your skills. And so many hidden things, you guys. This game is no joke. What a blast I had with this. Of course, if you dislike high difficulty games that are out to get you at every turn, this will not hit the spot for you. But if you do like a hazardous adventure, this is some of the best the gaming world has to offer, seriously. Next is such a great game, currently in early access, but with a lot of content already, making it easy to see the high quality. Plus, this is a freaking great and fun idea. We are looking at Beastieball. Beastieball is a mix of Pokemon and volleyball is what it is. Freaking awesome idea. Instead of regular battles, you got 2-on-2 volleyball matches with both the volleyball rules, so making the ball hit the opposing team's floor means you score, and also traditional turn-based RPG rules with picking skills and depleting HP of the enemies for knockouts, which is another way to score. It's so very cool, and I'm not the only one who thinks so. This game has got a good chunk available in early access, and everyone is loving it, as shown by the overwhelmingly positive score. There is a lot of customization too, and graphics are pleasant, with a kind of a Paper Mario style, though I don't love the color palette, but that's my only small complaint. Beastieball is shaping up spectacularly well, so keep an eye out for this. Moving on to the gorgeous puzzle platformer Forgotton Anne. This is a bit more well known, but still not nearly enough, I believe. Forgotton Anne is such a fine game. Real high production value here, with beautiful hand-drawn cutscenes, voiceover, and a lot of different gameplay ideas that may impress you. Now, know that the game's world and characters may be off-putting to some. Anne inhabits a parallel world where forgotten objects of all shapes and sizes disappear from our world and arrive there. This place is filled with a magical energy called anima that gives life to those objects, and they wish to reunite with their owners in the real world. But there are some rogue objects causing some mayhem here too. So you control Anne, the enforcer, handling the rebel situation. So yeah, very weird premise with the living objects and all that I believe some will dislike. For others though, the beautiful graphics will go really well with the unorthodox setting. Gameplay wise, there are several cool ideas here. You have a special vision mode that allows you to interact with the anima energy, fueling machines for instance, and this has many applications throughout the game. And same goes for the platforming. You can run and long jump, soon you gain access to mechanical wings for even longer and higher jumps. It's pretty cool. Real nice game here, a 9 out of 10 in my book. Alright, next, a deeply obscure hidden gem here with a lot to offer called Dros. Okay, very interesting game here. I love the character portraits and the overall visuals, and the gameplay is very cool. This is a 3D action platformer divided into small stages where you can freely explore, kind of like Mario 64 in a way, and find the many hidden items and ultimately the way out once you gather enough of the yellow orbs. The gameplay gimmick is all about the two characters that inhabit the same body, the knight and the black gooey guy, who is trying to escape this place and is actually keeping the knight alive, so they need each other. The knight has action commands, while the black goo guy can fit into small places and pipes, as well as do a lot of other things. Level design is excellent in this game, some real clever ideas all over the place, and many well hidden collectibles. Very nice game, Dros, fun all the way. And no shade on the other games on the list, but this is my favorite one this time, on Garde. This is such a fine game. I'm so happy I found it. I love everything about it. The focus is on the third-person fencing action, which is absolutely excellent. They created one of the best, most fun combat systems for third-person action games ever here. No exaggeration. It's both about quick reaction to parry or dodge different kinds of incoming attacks, along with a clever system of depleting enemies' parry capabilities, which I'm not gonna bother you about with the details. Just trust me, it works super well and it's easy to understand in-game. And on top of that, there is a huge emphasis on using the environment to your favor. This is not any new idea, of course, but most games that have it are mild on this, with the environmental stuff serving as an option or an afterthought. Not in On Garde. It's a huge aspect in the game, and so very well implemented. You have no idea. It's so much fun. You can kick a whole lot of stuff, which is so cool. You can grab stuff and throw them, including vases on enemies' heads, flames on explosive things, or explosive things on flames, which is a true spectacle. I mean, look at what happens when you blow up a flaming cauldron. It's freaking amazing. Of course, it is also pretty crazy and unrealistic, but the game is also crazy and unrealistic in every other way, from characters and story to the very well done humor in the conversations. Both your character and the enemies make dynamic remarks during and after combat, and that's frequently a bad thing in other games because the remarks become repetitious and usually fail to add anything at all. But in Garde's conversations are truly funny and witty and a joy. So yeah, long story short, this is a remarkable game, a true 9.5 out of 10, the only problem being the length, which is a bit on the short side, about 6 hours or so, but there are many secrets to find, optional missions to complete, and even an arena mode with several difficulties to try that will extend the duration significantly if you want. So yeah, I give this my highest recommendation. Try it out. It's currently only on Steam, but the devs have confirmed that they are also searching for funding to bring this to consoles, and it seems likely that they will succeed sooner or later, so keep an eye out for that. And that's it, everyone. Hope you found some interesting games to add to your list. Do consider subscribing for more, and I count on the value for value model for funding this channel. If you found this valuable to you and would like to return some of that value to me, you can do so in many ways, not only financial means. You can share, subscribe and all that, and of course help funding it directly through Patreon. This is a tiny channel still, requiring a lot more help, so I appreciate all of you who do that very much, and it's what keeps me going. Alright, this has been From the Void. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.